Hello, my CNC brothers and sisters. Hey, welcome to another Wednesday evening hangout where we get to talk CNC and Vectric and have a lot of fun. And make sure we have a few drinks laying around, because whenever I ask Julianne a question, you have to drink. Our friend Mark Lindsay, who is going to be joining us in just about a minute, is the one that started that whole thing. So, and we were just talking about it before the show. So kind of cool. All right. First of all, hey, let's just cover the house rules. As you all know, let's keep it clean, keep it nice. We're a bunch of creators that help each other. Once in a great while, we get a sour apple. And what we do when that happens is we kick them out. We just have a zero tolerance policy here. And also, if you are new to CNC, then make sure you put in the comments that you are new, or if you're new here on the channel, or if you just got your CNC machine, whatever. I mean, we are going to celebrate. We always do the happy dance for you. So put it in the comments and we will catch it. Make sure you put a question mark or two before your comment. And if you have questions, which we hope you'll have, which we do have already, make sure you put a question mark before that, or the word question, and that way Julianne in the background can start. I will bring her out in just a moment so you know who drives the show here, and then we'll bring Mark out. And so I want to say hello to a couple people. Oh, by the way, Liberty is not with us this evening. She is in Cancun for the week, having a nice vacation on the beach. I think I'll save that for when it gets really, really, really cold and go do that. Okay. Let's say some hellos. We got John Turdick, and John Thompson, Benny, Michael, Butch, Jack. We got Jack in the shop, of course, and Cody from the Jenny Bit guy, right? So IDC Woodcraft now carries Jenny Bits as of last week. So if you are a Jenny Bit fan, you can get them from IDC Woodcraft as well. We have Greg from STL Woodworking. So whenever I ask Julianne to do something, we take a drink of something, and our brother Greg texted me the drink that he has right there, and Mark was saying that's just not enough, Greg, but I did see you said you got a whole bottle at the ready. Whatever drink you want to have. Who else we got here? Marcel and Brian and Rich, Gary, and I said Butch. We got Rocco. All right. I can't really say hello to everybody. It would take all night long. I'm going to bring out the boss here, Julianne, the one that runs the IDC Woodcraft show and tells me exactly what I got to do. She is in the background. She is going to be checking your questions and answer or getting them started for us so we can handle them. And then we'll bring her in once in a while. Who we got next? Who do we got coming up, Julianne, to visit on the lives?
Let me pull out my handy-dandy calendar of everything.
She writes everything down.
I do. This is my whole entire calendar. It's a 5-year planner. So next week, we have Kate coming back.
Oh, yay. Sister Kate.
Week after that, we will have Bill Keys.
Okay, so that week we're going to be talking CNC business. Bill has been running a professional CNC business for many years, and he's done it out of his shop on the side for many years as well. So Bill's got a lot of business acumen, can give you the ins and outs of a lot of things with business. So that's going to be a good one. And Kate, well, you all know Kate. For most of you know Kate. So anyway, so Julianne will be there making sure your questions get started. So I do want to shout a couple people out for doing something. Every once in a while we get something in the mail, and it's usually a gift that somebody has made on their CNC, and generally it's a thank you gift for doing what we do. Mark Lindsay, I know he gets stuff, I get stuff. And first of all, we got one here. I actually, we got this last week, and I just have not called the person. This came from Rich Stevenson. Stevenson, and he has made us some pens, some wooden pens. He turned them, so I've got I think we got 4 of them, which is very, very cool. And one I haven't even opened yet. This came from our brother Tom, and I'm going to open it up right now, see what we got here. And Tom has sent us yum. He didn't send us a CNC project. He sent us some popcorn. And, ooh, can't wait for that. That'll go good with my drink tonight. Now, here's one that was really, really cool. Came from Roger. And for those of you who have been know IDC Woodcraft, we donate regularly to St. Jude, the Children's Research Hospital. That's the hospital that helps children with cancer. And they saved my niece Isabel many years ago. She had a very aggressive brain cancer. And we also contribute or donate to an organization called Missing Alexis. And that organization helps the families who have lost their children. And so not only did I have a niece who had cancer, I had my daughter lost one of her children, her 3rd child, Maddox. And so we support Missing Alexis as well. So our friend Roger sent over these very, very heartwarming projects. And there's 4 of these. It's the Praying Child of St. Jude made out of Purple Heart. And he put a little epoxy in there. And so 1 for each member of the team, which is sometimes you just get something in the mail that moves your heart. And he also sent one with my name on it, yours truly, Garrett, which is made of walnut. The other one's Purple Heart. And then 1 for my niece, Isabel. So very, very cool. Okay, with that, the shout outs are there. We're going to bring our brother Mark on, and we're going to start talking CNC. Make sure you get your questions in. Hello, brother Mark.
Aloha. How goes it?
From across the country. So Mark's about 2,000 miles away from us. And
roughly.
Yeah, roughly. And yeah, so you were saying rainy weather's coming your way now, or this rainy season.
Oh, we are in the midst of it. We started getting rain about 3 days ago, and the whole week it's going to be nothing but. So I apologize, everybody. I sound like a duck that somebody is stepping on with combat boots. It's just enough to beat all the pollen out of the plants and trees. Gotcha. And get right into my sinuses. So,
all right. And here in southern Indiana, we got some storms coming in, and tomorrow, and enough of a concern that they have decided to do trick or treat tonight.
Oh, goody.
Yeah. Yeah. So when I was on my walk, the kids were all out, and I was kind of wondering what was going on. And I just want to get all these little projects out of the way over here. There we go. And so there we go. Yeah. So, and lots of stuff going on. I finally moved into my house.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. And so now next week we're going to start on the shop so I can start doing content there. But we've got some work to do. And the Julianne has decided, I'm going to bring it back, Julianne. She has decided that they are going to own my apartment.
Oh,
yeah. Okay. She must be eating. She's covering her mouth.
I am. I dug into the blueberry almonds.
Oh, gotcha.
But yeah.
So we are planning on the move in many different ways. So it's going to be an interesting shift because I won't be here at the shop nearly as much. I'll be in my own shop.
It's going to be interesting.
Nice. Yeah.
We're excited though.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, for sure. I need to get my camera turned right there. All right. Bump you back there, Julianne. And so Mark, what's new? What's going on your end?
Oh, so many things all in 15 different directions at once. I retired in 2018 and I keep saying I need to go out and get a job so I can get some rest. I still to this day don't know how I did everything when I was working full time.
Isn't it nuts?
Because there aren't enough hours in a day now. And I need a day strategically placed between Saturday and Sunday. And I don't know how I'm going to get it, but I'm working at it.
You're doing a lot of talking to the man about it.
Well, I've been doing that for 60 years. So, you know, I figure, you know, he helps those that help themselves, and there ain't much I can do about the calendar except come up with my own, and I don't think that would work.
Right. Nita has joined us from Indiana, Pennsylvania, and any female creators out there, if you're not in the Facebook group Women Who CNC, that's run by Kate, and both Julianne and Liberty are in that, right? And you got Ellen, who's on board here too. Ellen is very active here. We met her back at the Vectric show. That was cool. And then she came by here at the shop, so we got to see her here.
Ellen's a lot of fun. She's one of my favorite people.
She's just so happy. She's so happy.
And absolutely,
even when she's mad, she's happy.
Absolutely killing it too. I mean, I know she probably don't want me to say this, but I'm gonna say it anyway, Ellen. She got into making the little jack-o'-lantern lanterns for Halloween and everything.
Yeah.
She made 100 of them.
100.
And sold at least, what was it, Ellen? 85?
Wow.
Absolutely killing it. So, I mean, she's one of the real ones. She knows the deal.
Yeah. So, folks, we talk about Ellen a lot. But anyway, Ellen is one of those creators, and I'm sharing this story because this is what seems to happen all the time to creators. When you get a CNC machine and you're thinking for a business, all you do is let people know that you got this machine. Her husband bought her the machine, and she's like, "What is this?" And before you know it, now she makes very custom parts for vintage jukeboxes, and I mean, when we were talking to her, she's like, "We just needed a break." They took a road trip. She's a busy woman. So, folks, it just happens. But the thing is, you gotta let people know. At the end of the day, you got to get eyeballs on you, or get the little bug out there.
Yeah, she's killing it. She really is. She's killing it.
She is. I'll have to bring her back on as well. So, Julianne, let's work on that.
Please do.
Yeah. Oh, I just asked Julianne to do something. Take a drink.
Uh-oh.
Let's get Greg drunk tonight. All right.
I don't think he needs our help.
No, he doesn't.
I shouldn't say that.
All right. Okay. Mark, let's dive into some questions. We already got 10 in the queue. All right, so we can talk CNC, we can talk Vectric, we can talk machines. By the way, so yesterday I went to do a live. Mark, you were on that live, and I was going to demonstrate the alt mill, and it was just a nightmare of technical difficulties. First, our microphone wasn't working with the camera, so I had to use this special camera I got hanging here, and Adam's holding it, and you watch the replay, and the things like just jittery and all over the place. That was pretty bad, and it's low. It's not meant for that type of stuff. And then there's something went askew on the Z-axis. I did talk to CNC Labs about that, and so I've got one of the first 50 machines, and they realized there had to be a change, but I just didn't get I didn't get the memo. And the change was a little dip switch and a firmware change to and so that seems to have solved it. So I'll get back on that live. I'll do it again, and we won't do it through StreamYard this time. I think StreamYard was causing a microphone issue. Okay, well, let's hit it. And the first one on deck is Terry from Doggone Productions. I love names like this. Just received his Airweights vacuum system. Watched the videos. Any advice from the community? Great job, Garrett and ladies. All right, thank you. I think he just called you a lady. You've been called worse.
I've been married twice. I've got 5 kids, 7 grandkids, and I was 10 years in the Army. I've been called a lot worse.
Yeah. So Terry, very cool. So what he's talking about, Airweights, it's a vacuum table for your CNC router. So a company called Airweights, Jace, which do we have him on the schedule yet? No, we're going to get him back on board. probably before the end of the year. Anyway, there was a demand or a need for vacuum cables for the benchtop CNC routers, and so we developed that. And so now we have the Airweights system, and it's a very fast way to clamp your projects down using the vacuum. So there's multiple ways to hold your projects. You can clamp it, you can screw it down, you can use vacuum, you can use double-sided tape, CA glue, you can do all the above. All right. Vacuum tables are very quick. So Terry, very cool. And so he says, any advice? What kind of advice would you give him and anyone else with these vacuum systems? Oh, by the way, Julianne, put a link in there so people can see what this Airweights thing is. It's kind of a cool system.
I have no experience with vacuum tables at
Okay.
all. I have never used one. I watched the when you had the folks from Airweights on, and it looks awesome. It really looks cool. I just don't know if I would use it that much. I'm deathly afraid. See, I have to go by the motto that if there's a way I can mess it up, I will find it. So
you're Murphy. I get it.
Well, no, but he's married into my family. So I'm just deathly afraid I'm going to just drive a bit right through the center of that sucker and cut a big square out of it or something worse, so, and I'm a home hobbyist. I don't make anything to sell. I'll take the odd commission here and there if somebody wants to meet my I don't want to do it price. But most everything I do is a one of a kind. I make it for my family and gifts and what have you. So I really don't have a need for it. It's cool. Don't get me wrong. I'd like one. I just don't have a need for it. And I really have to justify that kind of thing.
Gotcha. Yeah. So Greg said he uses his Airweights all the time. I will be getting the Airweights for the alt mill. So first of all, my first piece of advice on that, Terry, would be just to Mark's word there. He's afraid he might drive his bit right into the vacuum table. And that's why we do something like this, something that Mark helped me out with quite a bit, the CNC project setup checklist. And we've all done it. We've all forgotten to set our Z. We forgot to turn the router on if you have a trim router. I'm not sure I put the wrong bit in. I'm sure I have. But anyway, so this checklist, it's all the stuff you check while you're doing your setup. And so that's free to you if you want. Julianne will put a link in the comments. By the way,
I am totally supported by notes and checklists. So yeah, there's no way I'm going to remember everything. I can't remember what I had for dinner last night. So,
Speaking of which, thank you for taking a little time away from your dinner or making sure your dinner was early tonight, because usually you're doing a barbecue right about now.
Well, not in the rain. I'm a fair weather barbecuer.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. All right. Butch is wanting to know, what is the criteria for having to take a drink? The criteria, which we've said it, anytime I ask Julianne to do something, or Liberty, then you take a drink. That's the criteria. Is that Mark's the one that made up the rule? So is that the?
Well, it was a joke. I just, because I've seen all these other shows or whatever, because especially when it gets into a catchphrase, if somebody has a catchphrase that they say all the time, the drinking game is every time they say that, you take a shot and see who's the last person standing. Well, so it was every time you asked Julianne or Liberty to do something behind the scenes, be it find a link or schedule this person or write that down. It's like, that's the IDC drinking game.
It's a perfect game. It's a perfect game. Yeah.
I never meant for it to stick. It was just kind of an in-passing gag.
There you go. You started the whole thing.
Well,
it's but it makes
I
it
apologize.
Fun. No apologies, because it made it fun. It added a lot of fun to this. Okay, so John is saying, how do I get the big cup Garrett is using? So this was also a gift. All right, here we go. Julianne, look into this. Yep. Might as well, because we've had several people ask about this type of thing. So let's, if we can, maybe we can backtrack to the person who sent this to us. And I forget I forget. It's been a while. It's a nice Yeti cup for sure. All right, John, you just might have put something else on our website.
Ruh-roh.
Oh, we are working to expand the site, as everybody knows. I've got a new router bit that's going to come out probably shortly. I'm not sure yet, maybe a month. Actually, we got 2 new router bits we're working on. That's
Sweet.
Yeah, new designs.
I was looking at the ones that you were showing yesterday during the live stream, the 1/8 and the 1/16 bit with the 1/4 inch shank.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that. I like that a lot. I'm very interested in how they perform.
Yeah. I had my spindle maxed out, so it was heating up this bit. I can see a little dark on there, but just because I was driving at 200 inches per minute and then 300 inches per minute. So what Mark was talking about is the QD series at IDC Woodcraft. Julianne, bring my screen up.
Drink.
There we go. So this is a 1/4 inch shank, and it reduces to an 1/8 inch shank, and then we have this 16th, same thing.
Yep.
And this is a 1/4 inch flute depth, and this is a 5/8 inch flute depth.
Okay.
I won't go 1 inch flute depth on the 1/8 like that.
Nah, you're asking for trouble then.
Right. All right. And it's time to drink again, because Julianne will put a link for that in the description. It does make it much more convenient for sure.
I hope Greg is sitting down.
I hope so. All right. We might have to get Greg on here and have him give Julianne a bunch of orders.
Oh.
Okay. Brian is wondering, what fasteners did I use for those for the base and spoil boards on the alt mill? Screws or bolts and lock nuts. Okay. So there we go. Here's the alt mill. Okay, and there's the project I was working on running yesterday, and I had a little problem. So you can see there's a big gouge right there, and that's where I had the Z problem. This is my board, so I can live with it. I can paint along in there. The other guy, so this project, believe it or not, I'm charging someone $1,000 for it. It's a piece of MDF for easy design. It's for someone who's in my entrepreneurs group. He wants to drive his business to 100 million a year, and so I'm gonna charge him $1,000. You know, you got to have skin in the game. You got to mean it if you're gonna do it. And he knows that I've made things like this before. Okay, so the baseboard. Let me just adjust this camera a bit. So the way the machine is set up is I've got a baseboard right here. That's a whole piece of MDF. And that goes all the way across. Now it doesn't fit the whole gap, because that's a 51-inch gap from this side to the other side. And so I just put it in the middle, and then I got a little couple small strips that are going down around the outside there. And then on top of that, the screws that hold that down, I think they were provided with the machine. If not, they were I think they're half inch screws, and there's a bunch of holes that are in these brackets that are going across where you can actually screw it in. What I recommend is that you drill holes into it. You pilot drill it, so that it makes it much easier for the screw to drive. And then of course I got these on top. These is another level of spoil board for my tracks, and this is the sacrificial pieces. And I got the T-track that's running down in between. Now, what I did is here I'm using all-purpose screws. They're 1 inch all-purpose, 1 inch all-purpose screws that are holding this to the bottom baseboard there. And they're these are about 8 inches wide, 7 inches wide, I think. And then the screws are about every 6 to 8 inches going up each strip. Let's see. So no lock nuts. Didn't need them. Let's see. So we'll make sure. So there you go. The screws, though, if you didn't get, if they don't provide, maybe they don't provide the screws. But what I use is pan head Phillips head screws, not for wood, for metal, because the metal ones have the threads all the way down to the head. Okay. Was that a good enough explanation, brother?
Sounded good to me.
All right.
They're all different. I mean, the Avid, the extrusion uses roll-in T-nuts that just drop into the extrusion, and then they spin 90 when you put a bolt into them, and
Okay.
they're button head hex screws.
Okay.
And I used MDO board for my base, and then I cheat. I set my T-track where I wanted it, then cut strips of MDF that are 7 inches wide, and I just tight bond 3 and my composite nails and tacked it down, surface the top, and drive on.
Okay. Yeah, if you have the alt mill, I did a video on the T-track. So how to set it. I did a video on general for T-tracks. I said to put them to 6 to 8 inch spacing. I actually recommend now that I've got this on there, I've done a few things for that you do it 6 inches apart. That means more tracks. We're working on getting tracks here now too.
Yeah, I went with 7 inch simply because that kind of my table is 49. It will hold 49 inch wide piece by 49 inch long piece.
Okay.
And I've got T-track on the outsides and then every 7 because it divided 49 evenly.
Yeah. Yeah. And by the way, I talked to Eric from Avid, so we're going to get him on the show as well.
Oh, nice. He's a good guy. He's a good guy. He's been a lot of help.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. Eric is a guy that runs Avid CNC. All right, Susan. Hello, Sister Susan. Make sure you join Women Who CNC Facebook group. It's a women-only group, so no guys are allowed in it. And like I said, Kate runs that. She will be on board next week here. Let's see. So she just watched my video on getting started learning the Vectric VCarve Pro. It was so helpful. At the end, we were able to do a design, but I didn't show how to put it on the table and cut. Okay. So, could you do that? Actually, yeah, I am going to redo many of my videos because Vectric did that facelift. And, but Julianne, link the video for that house number sign. Okay. Yep. Drink. So Susan, watch the comment stream. She's going to put a video in there. I walk you through the entire project. Right. We design. It's a super easy project, very basic. Mark, it's an oval. It's got a border, then some numbers, and it's just a pocket cut.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And very basic project. And keep in mind, if you have Vectric version 12, the layout's going to be a little bit different, but the tools are the same. The icons look a little bit different. Yeah. And that literally walks you all the way through the entire project, from the concept all the way through the machine and to finishing it, to actually painting it using Aura Mask. Very helpful video. Mark, you got a video that walks all the way through?
I got a couple of them, yeah. And in fact, I'm redoing, I guess it was about 2018, I did a series of 50 videos of Vectric for the absolute beginner. Okay. And I'm in the process of redoing some of those because of version 12. Yeah. So I've just released last weekend part 10 of my version 12 plus for the absolute beginner. But I have not yet done a version 12 walking through saving G code and saving the toolpaths to a flash drive and taking it out, because that's kind of machine specific. I do go over that in a couple of my other videos, but I'll be honest, I couldn't tell you which one right off the top of my head. I have over 600 videos on my channel, so
Yeah.
they all kind of blend together after a
They
while.
do. They do. Yeah, I had to go back and like list them all out because people asked me for a list in order, and that took a little bit of work. So I think we have that as well. We got that on a download, don't we?
Well, every video on my channel, to include all the live streams, is in a playlist. And some of them are in more than one playlist because they may be pertinent to more than one topic.
Right, right.
If you're looking for something on V carving, you can see there's a bunch of different videos that involves that. Two-sided machining, there's a bunch of videos that involve that. It runs the gamut.
All right. Hey, Julianne, does Susan is relatively new. Does that warrant a happy dance? She's thinking. She's leaving it up to me. I guess we're going to do it. All right, come on board. So we're just calling Susan a new creator. She just got her software. She's brand new to the game, so she gets the happy dance. The happy dance.
The funky pigeon. Yeah, that's me.
There you go. All right. See, new people, right? You're new to this. You're new to it. This is what you're getting because we're welcome. It's our way to welcome you to this amazing community. All right. I haven't looked at the full live comments. I'm still in just the starred comments. I'm going to pop back over in a minute after we handle Butch. He said maybe Mark would be willing to share and update the group on the little Toolpath glitch you discussed on Monday night.
I can do that if you'd like. I'd have to screen share if that's okay with you.
Have at it.
Oh, okay. This came from Butch. He's the person who called this to my attention. And this has to do with job sheets and writing notes in the Toolpath. So let me throw something up here real quick. I'll use the same.
Okay, so Mark is using Aspire. But,
I'm using Aspire version 12.
Yeah, all the V-carve tools are in Aspire. It's going to look basically the same, except you'll see some other icons below that.
Right. I got
to move Butch's comment out of the way. There we go.
Okay. And I'm just throwing up some stars real quick so I can make some tool paths here. And I'll select them all. And this is something that not a lot of people use, so I'm not surprised it didn't go unnoticed for quite a while. I'll just go with a profile tool path, and we'll cut 0.1 deep, and I'll use a 30-degree V-bit, and I'll cut on the vector just to make an outline of a star.
Okay.
So we've got the tool path calculated. Everything's great. I can preview it, and that's what I expected to see. That's fine. We'll come out of there, and you can go into your toolpath summary. And this will tell you your total machining time. And there's a notes section that you can put a note in here about the toolpath. So for instance, if I want to say 30-degree V-bit, just to make a note to myself, and click apply, and I can close it. Well, I shouldn't have done all 4 of those. Now I've decided I'm going to change my mind. I'm going to copy that by going into move and transform mode, hold down Control. I want to drag a copy right there. But I want to V-carve this one. With a 15-degree V-bit, use a flat depth of 0.1 and use a clearance tool. I'll use a 1/8 end mill. That's good enough. Select. And I won't change anything else. So now I've got 3 different tool paths here I've got my profile for these, and I've got my V-carve. I'll preview those two. All right. Now I can close that, go in here, and in my summary say this is 1/8 end mill clearance pass. This does have a point. Trust me, I'll get there.
Okay.
And then I'll select this one, and this is 33 V bit.
So you're selecting each tool path, and then you're putting
Right.
this.
And I'm just writing a note to
Yeah.
myself, and I've applied it, and I close. Well, now, if you have VCarve Desktop or Cut2D Desktop, this is not available to you. But if you're using VCarve Pro or Cut2D Pro or Aspire, you can go up here to Toolpaths, and you can create a job sheet. And what the job sheet does is it creates a HTML file. Yeah, I'll go ahead and do that. Replace the one that's already there. It creates an HTML file that you can open up in your browser and print out if you need to. And where is it? It should be right there. And of course, it's going to open over here. And that job sheet will give you the job layout, and it will give you your material setup, your toolpath summary. And here's the problem. When it put the notes in here, it stacked up the notes for all of the toolpaths all at once.
Oh.
And so you can't read them at all. This should be this should list all 3 of these toolpaths. This was a bug within Vectric itself. Now, if let me find one here and see if I have one that doesn't do that. That's what it should look like. It should be VCarve 1, Profile 1. It should show all of these different toolpaths in order.
Interesting.
But for some reason, when you put toolpath notes in it, it did this. So the comeuppance of all of this is I reported it to Vectric. I am a beta tester, and they were able to duplicate that. They were kind of embarrassed it was out this long, and they are going to be, it'll be in the next patch that comes out.
Okay.
Because it was also, I was able to copy it in the 12.5 beta. And this is only version 12. The version 11, it didn't do it at all. Version 11.5, it didn't do it. So this is an issue that's new to version 12.
Okay. So when would somebody use this sheet?
Well, if you look at it, this is a complete list of exactly what this toolpath is going to do. It's the job setup. There's your material border. It's showing you what vectors you have. Here's your material block. The size of the material is 12 inches by 12 inches by 3/4 of an inch. There's my home start position. There's my datum position up at the top of the material where I'm setting my XYZ center and my clearances. Then it gives me a summary of how long they estimate it's going to take, and then breakdown by toolpath of the toolpath type, your feed rate that you had set, your plunge rate, your spindle speed, any toolpath notes. This was generated in version 11.5. Then the tool info, the tool type, it's giving you all of this information. So you don't have to write all this down and then try to remember how you set it up. This is an HTML file that you can put on the thumb drive with the G code, take it out and put it on the computer that's running the G code and then see what your entire setup is right there.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, and that would be good for business work as well. So if you have one person doing the design work, they can pass that off to somebody else, and they'll have that information. And let's see, what was there's a comment there that I wanted to see. These guys are talking. I can't keep up with them. But Kimberly suggested to Julianne that her bit order be charged to Greg. So I guess that's going to happen according to their discussion.
Charged to what?
Greg, yeah.
Oh, okay.
They're poking on each other.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And Laser 314. Where's his comment? Okay. Yeah, there it is. Thank you. So I was wondering if that job setup sheet will show a no-go zone.
You know what? I don't know. Let's find out. Let me.
So what he's talking about while Mark is finding that, the no-go zone is a new feature that's been put out in the Vectric version 12 release, where you can dictate where your clamps are going to be, and you can draw that onto your design, and you can tell it that this is where my clamps are going to be, and the software, when it generates the G code, will avoid that area. So it's a safety feature, so you can keep yourself from running into your clamps accidentally.
And I think I need to. I don't use I don't use these very often, but let's say I don't want I don't want it to go here, and I don't want it to go here for some reason. I don't use these very often at all. So I'll select these and come right over here, manage the keep out zones, and create from selection. I've got these two zones selected. Create from selection, close. Now, because I've added this, I need to recalculate these toolpaths. So I'll just recalculate all toolpaths. We're fine. And we can preview what they look like. These are my do not go zones. Now
I got a video on that, by the way, that walks you through how those work.
Create job sheet, and I'll just replace this one. Yes, replace it. I know it exists. And we will close that. And I'll open the new one. And there it is. And it does show the vectors. It doesn't make any kind of a note about whether this is the way it should look. I took out those toolpath notes, and now it's giving me a summary of the toolpaths themselves.
Gotcha.
I don't see any specific mention of the keep out zones, but the vectors are noted.
Okay, that might be a suggestion to Vectric as well.
Yeah, I will look into that. While they're in here playing around with the infrastructure behind this, they could easily color that a different color, so or shade it so that's a keep out zone.
Yeah.
I say easily like I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Everything's easy if I'm not the one that's got to do it.
All right. Okay. We got Butch is asking a question. That was already handled. And so LSL Woodworks. Hello, new to CNC, and I'm having a problem with Gsender. Well, first of all, we got a newbie. All right, someone new. So Julianne, come on board. We got to give LSL Woodworks a little happy dance for being in the CNC community. All right. We're gonna have to start coming up with a theme song, IDC Woodcraft theme song. You know what? I'm gonna put that out to the community. Come up with a IDC Woodcraft theme song. Did you see Julianne's eyes Right? I come up with stuff like that. She's like, "Ooh, I like that idea."
Yeah, I can count the copyright strikes out already.
Ah,
No.
all right. So this question, problem with Gsender, it will only let me jog my machine once and then freezes. Else I have uh, universal code and it works fine. So what I would do is I would just put a ticket into Gsender or into CNC Labs and let them know. Not sure what would be causing that.
Yeah, there's a lot of variables involved there. It could be any number of things from a loose cable to I mean, you name it. Something in the background on the computer is interfering. I mean, it could be any number of things. So that's definitely a tech support question.
Yep. But definitely make sure all your wire connections are just double check them all. When I put the alt mill together, it was one that I thought I put it on all the way, but I didn't. All right. And so my Z wasn't working, but it moves and once and then it quits. So yeah, they actually, CNC Labs, they developed Gsender, and they're the ones that came out with the alt mill and the long mill. And so they
I have to say, I was pretty impressed with that alt mill that when you were demonstrating yesterday. I mean, the fact that they've got the lead screws, because you were running the same speeds I am on the Avid, and it's rack and pinion on my X and Y, and ball screw on the Z.
Okay.
And when you jumped up on that gantry, I was thinking, oh, here we go. and Julianne said, you installed grab handles up there. And I'm like, well, he does this often. So why doesn't that surprise me?
I got a couple of sticks hanging up there on the rails there. Just enough. Well, folks, I'm in the middle of a review video on it. And Julianne says, you're not getting up there without a helmet on. She made me wear my bicycle helmet during the dramatic demonstration.
Like I said yesterday, there could be papers to sign, and if she didn't warn you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, but I was very impressed with that puppy because you're approaching some of the professional grade in that. And I mean, that's a pretty stout machine. I was impressed.
Yeah, I'm kind of putting this almost to hybrid level, right? It's hobby / pro.
And for the money, I mean, wow, I saw the price and I was like, holy cow, how do they do that?
Yeah, I have no idea. So folks, if you're looking for a CNC and so the alt mill, let me get my camera right. That's a 4x4 machine there. And that machine is $3,000. Right. And then the spindle is another like 500. And then they are coming out with a like a little touch screen that's going to be mounted on it. I can't wait for that. So Julianne, put a link if anybody's looking at the alt mill. Put a link in the drink. Put a link in the comments. All right. Question from Johnny King. What can I do to make my CNC understand my touch probe? Tried setting it up and all it did was move over and go down as far as it can. That's software, first of all. So I'm assuming you know this, but the touch probe, there's a second wire like a magnet, and that magnet sticks to your spindle. All right. And if you don't have the magnet, right, because it has to close a circuit. That's how it's telling us made the touch. So that's the first thing. But this is something to go back to the machine company.
Yeah.
Right?
Every machine controller software has its own way of recognizing that there is a touch plate there. So I would definitely get a hold of the machine manufacturer and ask them, show them what you got, tell them what you've got, and see if maybe they have a tutorial video, or maybe they can either even walk you through it.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely talk to the machine company.
Yeah. Some companies have that little magnet on the end. Some have an alligator clip. My first one came with a bare wire. I had to supply my own alligator clip.
Are you kidding?
No, I'm not kidding. And I paid $77 for that. I'm like, well, come on, man.
Yeah. Please, a 5-cent clip.
Throw a brother a bone here,
Yeah. Hey, Bruce is wondering, says, when running V-carve letters, is there a way to cut the letters so they look smoother on the cuts?
This is just me, and it's going to vary from person to person. I always run V-carve toolpaths twice. You would be amazed at how much that will clean up a V-carve. Is just run the toolpath twice. Now, again, I'm a home hobbyist. I have that luxury. I can take the time. Some people can't. But if it's a 10-minute V-carve toolpath, I can take the time. I just run it twice.
Yeah.
If I can't take the time, I'll slow things way down. I'll slow down my feed rate. I'll slow down the, I'll play with the spindle RPMs. But generally speaking, I just slow everything down.
Yeah. So here's some of the methodology behind what Mark is saying too, is when you're cutting, there's pressure against the tool. And that pressure, even though everything's tight and rigid, that pressure is still having its way with your material. And so there's always going to be that little tiny sliver that's not being cut. And so when you cut back again, there's no more pressure because there's almost nothing there, and then it just comes right through and cleans that up.
Well, so, not only that, but you're also cutting through wood fibers, and some of those wood fibers, rather than cut, will just bend.
Yeah.
And so running that bit back through there picks up all the loose little bits, and maybe, I won't say miscuts, but something similar to that, and just boom, cut it again.
Yeah.
It will clean it up a noticeable amount. So that's my secret. Other than that,
for a particular bit, there we go. So one of the bits that I like these is my favorites because they do leave cleaner cuts, but they only come in 1/4 inch. Julianne.
Yeah.
So these are what we call bladed V-bits. This one's been used quite a bit, and if you look on the very edge there, it's so there's a grind in it, and then it's got like the grind stops, and it has like a knife edge on it. So they do a very clean cut. Because of the blade, they don't last necessarily as long as the flat V-bits. So I don't have a flat one on me right here. Anyway, so the bladed V-bit is going to give you a cleaner cut as well. All right, you can take my pretty face and share it with Mark. There we go.
Gee, thank you.
Yeah.
That was 2 drinks on one close-up.
Yeah. All right. Landis. Oh my.
Hey, Landis, how you doing?
Yeah. Julianne's now having fun with the cameras. All right. Landis saying when bringing a file from another source and I need to resize it, how can I make sure all parts stay the same scale?
There are a couple of ways of doing that. And I'm gonna see, I'm not set up to really show this, but I can, whoops. I can fake it, I guess. Go back into the 2D view, and let's just, for the sake of argument, say that I don't need these anymore. So I'll delete that and delete that. For the sake of argument, I need to enlarge these, and I've got 5 different vectors, but I don't know how large I need to enlarge them. What I can do is I can, for instance, if I know, let me see how big this is. If I know I need to make this 2 3/4 inches high. I can make sure I have my link XY checked, and I can go 2.75. Now, I'm not actually going to do that. I'm looking right here where it says 108.5834%. That's how much I need to enlarge this one vector to get it to that size. So I can't select that and copy it. So I've got to write that down. 108.58304. Now I can close this. I didn't change it, but I now know what percentage I need to enlarge everything by. So I'll select all of the vectors, come on here to set selected object size, and I want to scale the selection, the entire selection, the job aligned box. I want to come down here to the height because that's the one that I looked at. I want to click this drop down menu and I want to enlarge by its percentage. And the percentage I'm going to use is that number I wrote down, 108.58304. Then click apply. Now it's just enlarged all of those parts by that same amount. Then I can select this and I can see that that is now 2 3/4 inches high. But everything has been scaled by the same rate, by the same amount. So it's just a matter of getting in to that set selected object size, put in your proposed height, and then read what percentage of enlargement or decrease in size is. And then when you go to actually set it or actually change that size, you can do it by the percentage. And works good. Works real good.
Yeah. There's another technique I used when I would have a drawing of something, and I was, but it was not a very good drawing. It didn't have all the information on it or something, and I needed to basically reverse engineer from the drawing, so the drawing wasn't drawn in scale.
Oh, ouch.
So what I would do is I'd literally I'd expand the drawing to as large as I could, print it out, take my calipers on it, I'd measure what I knew a length was, and then I'd measure the drawing and I would divide the two numbers. Now I'd have a ratio I could work with.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's just a quick and dirty way of doing that, because I understand. I mean, you import a DXF file and everything is off just slightly.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. There's a comment out there. Someone was asking about a long 1/8. So our friend Ray Dixon has given me a couple tools that he is wanting. So it's
sweet.
It's a long 1/8 right there and a long 1/8 ball nose. So I am working with tool company to get these made. Yeah. It's almost scary when I start putting out long tools. Like we got the 90-day, you break it guarantee, and long tools, yeah, I know you already know my pain.
Exactly, because I mean it's very, very easy to snap that puppy.
Yeah,
and I mean,
yeah. Cherokee Vapor joined us. All right, so took care of that question, and then we got Muhammad. He is saying, what's the best way to cut parts imported from cut list optimizers without cutting the tabs between neighboring parts or go over the cut line twice? I got to follow this one. Do you follow?
Yeah, I would get a hold of the cut list optimizer, that software publisher. And I would ask them. That is a very specific question.
Okay. There you go.
Because that's more along the production side,
Okay.
using some very specific types of software. A cut list optimizer is similar to like nesting, and you know it will. There should be a way for you to not have to use tabs
Gotcha.
or something like that. You know.
Gotcha. Okay. So Rocco is, I have an open build lead 1515. Have you guys ever heard of the open build CNC? I've heard of open builds. They've been around for quite a while.
Yeah, I have no experience with one. I've never been in the same room with one, but I've definitely heard of them.
Yeah, and I pay a lot of attention to what people say about machines, and I have not heard bad about open builds.
Yeah, me either. It is a do-it-yourself.
Yeah.
Now there is some open source support for it, but on a do-it-yourself, if you have absolutely no experience at all with CNC, that's real easy to get in over your head. And I know that because that was me when I first got started. I never doubted I could build the structure. I'm just not an electronics guy at all. I know just enough to make me dangerous. And I was in way over my head, and I relied on several people to help me drag me up to the surface, and I just started using it. But from what I understand, it's a very good design. So.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Open builds is an interesting thing because you can make it as long as you want. Yeah. Okay. So 3 sun signs joined on. Hello. All right. John is saying, Mark, please post a link for your videos.
I can't post links. I'm not a moderator or or an administrator. So if you just go to YouTube after this is done, up there where it says YouTube search, type in Mark Lindsay CNC, all one word, and you'll go right to my channel. And as I said, I've got 600 videos on my channel. Just have at. Just browse, and you're bound to find something that you like.
Hey, if you want your videos organized into a list, I can rent you my administrator. She's going, no, she's too busy.
I'm retired on a fixed income.
Right. Okay.
I know what I would charge for that.
Right. That bad, huh?
Yeah.
So Thor 21 said, can you do a wavy flag on a VCarve desktop?
Yeah. You just have to have a model of that wave, because VCarve won't let you create the model. But if you can get a hold of a STL file to import it, VCarve desktop will certainly carve it.
Yep, up to 24 by 24 inches. You can tile, but I'd be scared to tile a 2.5D model.
You have to be pretty accurate with your tiling if you're doing a pass through on something like that. Yeah. But it can be done. Lots of people do it.
Yeah. Thor, like Mark said, you cannot create the 3D model. You can't create that wavy flag in that software. The only one that can is Aspire at the top level, but there's lots of them out there on Etsy, or check in the communities. Go to CNC Entrepreneurs Facebook group. That's the one that IDC Woodcraft runs. We got 40,000 strong in that group. I'm sure someone's going to answer.
And don't forget the 3D printing groups too, like Thingiverse, things like that. I mean, not all of them, but certainly a lot of the STL files off of Thingiverse can be cut on a CNC.
Yeah.
So
there's quite a bit of file sharing that goes on in the groups too. So you can go check the file shares.
Some of it good, some of it.
Okay. So Sam Spade said, use Mark's steel dowels to secure material in the same location every time. Okay, so you used your steel dowel process, I guess. How do you set the XY0 in Gsender, G56, 57, etc.? Also, will setting soft limits prevent the loss of steps at the end of the carve? All right. So talking a lot of stuff. Mark doesn't use Gsender. He uses Mach
No.
3. All right.
Mach
So
4, yeah.
okay. So how do you set XY0? I gotta connect my machine so that we can do it. I was having a talk with CNC Labs a couple days ago, and I was saying it'd be really nice if I could simulate in the software. It won't engage, so I can do things in the software unless I'm actually connected to a machine.
Right.
And,
Well, that's something that I've been asked a few times, and I really have no idea. Can you set work offsets G56 and G57 in Gsender?
yes, you can.
You can?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I'm bringing it up.
Now, I must say this. You have to have homing and limit switches
Yes.
in order for G56, G57, 58, 59 to work.
Yes.
If you don't have homing switches, it won't help you.
All right. Here's a little cheat around that. And so if you don't have homing switches, you can, if you want to like make a false machine home, you bring your machine to its physical limits where it actually tries to keep going, but it literally can't. And then once you're at those physical limits, then you zero out your X, Y, and your X and Y. You're going to have reference from there, but it won't stick. From the minute you start to, because it doesn't have a, sorry, never mind, that won't work. What am I thinking? Because it's not setting a machine home.
It's not shedding machine coordinates. Yeah.
Okay. So as far as setting the soft limits, loose steps at the end of travel. So soft limits should be preset in your machine.
Yeah, I don't think that'll have anything to do with losing steps at the end of the travel.
Yeah. So, but you don't want to design. First of all, here's what's going to happen. So, folks, for those of you who don't know, when a machine has homing switches, what it's doing, it's setting what they call machine home. So it's like your reference point on a map, and then you've got your house. Then you have a couple of vacation homes, right? And so, but you don't know where that vacation home is except relative to your main home, right? And so that's not really a good example, but
well, it is kind of like a map in that you have to know the physical limits of your town.
Yeah.
All right. And that's what home is. It's you, when you set up the machine, you tell the machine how big your machine is. Mine is 48 by 48. It's set up by the controller software. When I home my machine, it runs all the way up to the front of its travel in Y. The X moves all the way over to the left, and the Z comes all the way up to the top. Now it's set 0 in machine coordinates. Now it knows that corner is 0. Wherever I put my material, that's my work coordinates. That's not my machine coordinates. So I'm setting 0, 0 on that machine on my piece of material. That's 0, 0 in relation to that piece of wood, but not on the machine. It may be at 25, 25 on the machine.
Mm-hmm.
So using those work offsets, that's putting a known location where every time I put something at 25, 25, I can tell it to go to G57 and the bit's going to move over to that XY0 point.
Right.
But it has to do it in machine coordinates. The machine has to be homed.
Yeah. Yep.
And I've got 2 videos on it. So
yep, I got one as well. And the benefit of that is, let's say you're starting to get in a business and you are making you're making a heart-shaped cutting board, and you make a lot of those, and then you make a star-shaped cutting board, but that's on a different station. Then what you can do is you can set your machine work offset, which is this G56, 57, 55. And once you set that, the machine's always going to know once it's been homed, so long as your G code calls that, your G code file is going to call that work offset. So anyway, I'm going to show.
Or you can do it manually, because my second video on my channel about work offsets, I show how to set up 2 zones. So all I have to do, I mount two
Mm-hmm.
pieces of material, make one cut. Then on the first one is at G56, I'll put it into G57, tell it to go to work XY0. It moves over to G57 location, cycle start, and it'll start cutting that while I'm pulling that first piece of material off and mounting a new one. And I just tell it to G56, G57, and just cycle start and go.
What we used to do in machining, when I was doing CNC machining, we'd have 2 or 3 stations, and we would do what they call a subroutine, and that subroutine would call up the new work offset, and then it's say go back to the beginning of that program, and now so I can cut 4 star cutting boards, and there are one's here, one's here, one's here, one's here, and now you're maximizing your stuff. All right. So the question was, I don't know what's grayed out on me right now. So how to set that? Okay, so I'm going to go into Gsender.
And yet you say you do have a video on how to do this in Gsender, how to set up here. Okay.
Yeah, Julianne, see if you can find that.
Great. I will, believe me, start referring people to that video, because I get asked about that quite a lot.
Maybe Julianne can give Mark a list of all the Gsender videos I have. Okay, because Gsender is quite popular now for the CNC machines. Not only is Gsender good for the CNC Labs machines, the alt mill and long mill, but it can be adopted to the other brand machines. It's on Arduino based setup. So here, I'm going to share. Okay. All right. Can you see my screen, Julianne?
Yes.
Please maximize it. All right. Okay. So this is what Gsender, the layout of it. By the way, they are doing a new layout design on it. It just kind of, they're just modernizing the look. I talked to them, and they said that right now they have their beta version out. Because what they've gone in and they've redone a ton of the code on this, because it was all built on the existing platforms that were out there, and it was getting kind of hairy for them to add more things to it, so they had to kind of redo it, and so they're making the screen look a little bit better. Anyway, right in the upper right corner is where right under the help question mark. It says workspace, and that is a little drop down, and you can select your work offset.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So and I'll show you. I'll send the machine home so you can see what Mark and I are talking about. So I'm going to come back to our screen. Julianne, bring my screen up, please. I've got to keep Greg drinking here. All right.
He says he's done. I just called him a lightweight.
Oh man, lightweight. Okay. So I'm going to send the alt mill to its home position. I got to go back into Gsender. I'm not using multiple screens right now, so I got to pop around and hit the home button. And the machine's disconnected, so I got to. Yeah, I got to shut her down and restart it.
Ruh-roh.
I don't know what happened. I think we lost him completely.
Well, we can both tap dance, but do you want to lead or?
It's up to you. It doesn't matter to me.
Well,
he should be hopping back on fairly soon.
Yeah.
Knock on wood here.
It happens. This Monday evening, my router just decided to say, nope, show's over. I'm tired. And
fun.
I had to go in the house, reset my router, come back out and go back into StreamYard to get back into my own live stream. So
really,
yeah.
Oh boy. All right.
I wonder if there was a COM port conflict or something. I'm going to try it again. I might bump out again.
Well, we'll see.
All right, let's fire things back up. You can keep them mark up until I got it. Make sure things are running. Okay, there we go. I think it's running. Okay, and yeah, there it goes. So now it's just going back to its home position. What it's going to do is it's going to go to a couple sensors, and it's going to do a sensor touch off basically. And once it's there, then it's going to it's going to in Gsender. Okay, I'll show you what it just did in Gsender. I had to hit the e-stop, so because the motors like to make some musical noise.
Yeah, that's odd. Mine don't do that, and I've never heard steppers make that high pitched noise like that.
Really?
That's
There's
weird.
somebody they actually took advantage of it, and they made a program where it did a Christmas song.
Oh yeah. Well, now that I've heard, when they're running, they do make noise, but when they're just sitting there idle, mine don't make any noise at all.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Well, they're locked. I know that. So, yeah, I want to go back into Gsender. Window right there. I had to. Okay, so if you look up in the right up where the numbers are, it's all grayed out because I hit the stop on the machine just to shut things down. But if you look up by the X, Y, and Z, there's these blue numbers at the top. It says minus 9.019. Beneath that, there are some numbers there. And right now it says 0.000. And same with the Y and the Z. And that is indicating that's the machine home. And if I move the machine off those positions, it's going to give me the distance that the machine is on these little numbers of how far off it is from the home position.
Right.
The bigger numbers are the work offset numbers that it was just asking about. G54, 55 up to 59. G54 is the default that all programs work on.
Yeah, and mine is the same way. Mach 3, Mach 4, when you first fire them up, you are by default in G54.
Yeah.
And then I leave that alone because there are times where I just want to do something real quick and get it over with, and I use G54 for that. But if I'm using my known work locations, I'm either in G55 or G56, depending upon where on the machine bed I'm running it.
Okay. Sargon said if in the software they divide the steps to smaller steps, they do make very loud noise at the stop position. Interesting.
Mine don't do that. I mean, and I've got the NEMA 34 960 ounce motors. So.
All right. Okay. So Kevin is asking me, is the 1/8 and the 1/4 shank and the Jenny bits in the database? So that's the tool database that we provide. So if you get the vCarve software, CarveCo, Carbide Create, or Fusion 360, you can get the database off the IDC Woodcraft website. The router bit database got all the feeds and speeds in it. The feeds and speeds are conservative, and we do that for a reason, because for new people, there's many reasons, but one of them is just if we set everything going really fast, that could make a new person really nervous really fast.
Yeah.
And also, as you get used to it, then you'll bring your feeds and speeds up. But also, there are machines that just aren't that rigid, and so they can't handle the like normal feeds and speeds that I would set. So, for example, a 1/8 diameter cutter in the database, I'll say maybe I got it at 40 inches per minute. That's pretty low. Here, I'd run it at 200 inches per minute.
Yeah.
All right. So,
yeah. And that's something you're going to adjust depending upon the material that you're cutting. I mean, cutting foam has got a different set of criteria than cutting plywood, which is different from maple, which is different from purple art. I mean, you know, so, and trust me when I say that feeds and speeds are not set in stone. They will be adjusted all the time.
Yes.
You know, so even within, and I don't mean to speak for Garrett, but even within his database, that's a starting point. You're going to find that maybe you might need to speed it up on some materials, and you might have to slow it down on other materials.
Yeah.
It's just, you got to develop that ear. If it sounds like it's struggling, it is, you know?
Yeah. 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 Also, if you're getting powder off your cuts, you're going too slow.
If your
Right.
bits are hot,
Yeah.
your RPM is too high. You're spinning it too fast.
Yeah. To answer Kevin's question, so we do not have the Jenny bits in the database at the moment. For the QD series bits, the ones with the 1/4 inch shank, that's a 1/8 and 1/16. I suggest you use the 1/8 and 1/16 bit settings for now. Believe me when I say, when it comes to this stuff, it's very tedious and time consuming for us to get all that stuff updated. And so for now, just go by with those defaults. Also, IDC, you get the phone app, right? So you hit the phone app, and you can get all your general starting feeds and speeds right off the phone app. All right, so we're the only ones that got a phone app that has this information on it. We got added a chip load calculator on it too. And I'm not going to go into that. So you can just tap into a bit family, and then into the bit. It's going to describe the bit, what it kind of generally is for. You can purchase a bit right from there. I wanted that because I got tired of going to a computer to buy a bit. So it's right there in the app, and the free app. And then you can set your material. We've got some woods in here, but sorry, we can't get them all.
Yeah,
there are hundreds and hundreds of wood. So you have to find the one. And then if you have a trim router, you can select the trim router, and it will tell you what dial setting to use. And also whether an inch or metrics, and then it'll give you your feeds and speeds right there, and all the bit specifications are right there as well. So this is free, Apple and Android. I suggest you get it. Julianne will put the links in the comments. Drink. Since she's doing two links, we have to drink twice.
Well, you're behind because, you have to be. You're talking.
Yeah. You see that cup that Mark's drinking out of, for people that, if you get the IDC set, I don't know what the criteria the girls set for that, but that comes with your package. I think it's when you order the starter set, you get that with it.
And it works. Works real well.
Yeah. But now we got to look into this thing here. All right. Let's see. We got Jeff Porter. He has an issue with Vectric. When you touch up a photo, then bring it to the Vectric and use the border like an oval run, the toolpath is fine, but it will not save the toolpath.
That I'm not following.
Yeah.
You're talking about adding a border like an oval, run the toolpath, it's fine, but it will not save the toolpath.
So I'm assuming he's taking an image and he's doing a bitmap trace.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and then putting an oval on it to trim things. Oh, will not save the toolpath. That's odd.
If it'll preview the toolpath, it should save it.
Yeah, absolutely. If it's not saving the toolpath, you've got a glitch in your Vectric, and you need to bring that to Vectric.
I don't understand.
Yeah. You need to send an email to Vectric, support@vectric.com,
and attach the file.
And attach the file, right? And be very descriptive. Mm-hmm. Right, if you want to, because they'll need to look into the software and see what is the specific thing that's going on.
Yeah, and they are good. They will get back with you. Just understand that they're in the UK, so there is a time difference.
Right. Okay. Brian is asking, will I be getting an auto bit setter for the alt mill. I'll be getting a tool changer and a bit setter. All right. Yeah, it's just how much bandwidth I have, right? So, but yeah, I'll be getting all those toys.
I have no need for it. I looked into it, but it's just that's a lot of money for something that's just cool. I have no need.
Yeah, if you're hobby, it's not really necessary.
Yeah. It's like buying a 5-yard dump truck because I might put in a new gravel driveway.
Right. Or it's like buying a Ferrari just because it looks cool, but everything else
Well,
wheels.
I don't know, but
yeah, that's kind of getting up there.
Yeah.
That Ferrari's like the $300,000 router.
Yeah.
All right, got a CNC router.
Parts Pro. Okay.
Parts Pro for 4848 running Gecko G540 with Aspire, and I'm already going. My head's getting twisted already. And UC 400, and can't get the JTech laser to fire when moving. Next line of code. Any links and videos would help. Here's where I'm going to send you to Rips.
JTech. Reach out to JTech.
Yep.
That is definitely specific. There may or may I can't remember if people were having that issue with the UC 400. But there may be a patch they need for the firmware. Reach out to JTech.
There you go. JR is asking any clue about the wiring for the Next Wave touch plate. It has a 2 banana male plug and a wire with a magnetic and wire coming out one end.
I don't know the Next Wave touch plate right off the top of my head, but there should be one plate should be plugged in. Well, both of them should be plugged into the controller. And one plug will plug into the touch plate itself, and the other will either be a magnet, as you have here. That is that's ground. The touch plate is power. So it's running exactly right there.
Yep. 2 wires.
So all it's doing is completing the circuit. What you'll need to do is reach out to Next Wave, and I bet you somewhere on their website they have the schematic or a tutorial on where to plug that in. Because it'll just need to be plugged into the right place on the controller, and then you'll test it. You're just completing the circuit is all you're doing when you use it.
Okay. Mark, do you do V carve, then clearance, the second carve?
Yes.
So you actually do V carve first and then do the clearance tool?
Yes, I've always done that. And the reason I do is because this is especially true if you're cutting areas where you're leaving, like, say, a thin ridge of material. Like imagine the center of the letter O on a tall, thin font. By cutting that V-carve first, that little ridge has all the support it needs to keep from just cracking off and breaking. If you do the clearance first, you've taken away all the support, and now that V-bit's going to come along and try to cut a taper on that. It's just going to snap right off. So I always do the V-bit part of a V-carve first, then come back and do the clearance.
Okay, so what he's talking about is when you're doing a V-carve and you're using a flat depth, it's going to create 2 tool paths, and the first tool path will be the clearance tool path, the second will be the V-carve, and what he's doing is he's using that, he's selecting a tool path and he's moving it above.
Yep.
Okay, let's see. All right, here's a good question. Using the Jenka hardness scale, how do you adjust the feeds and speeds from red oak with a 1290 to bloodwood 2900? Do you adjust up or down?
Generally speaking, I will not touch the spindle RPM. I might just slow down the feed rate a little bit. I keep the spindle RPMs pretty constant, right around 16,000 RPM, with a couple of exceptions. But I generally, on a harder wood, I'll slow it down so to give the tool more time to make that cut and eject that chip. Because that's the whole purpose, is you're trying to, when it cuts that chip, it's got to eject that chip and take the heat with it. So with a harder material, I'll slow down the feed, but I don't touch my spindle RPMs.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty much so this goes back to what we talked about feeds and speeds, where a lot of times you just get a feel for what you need to adjust to. So, I mean, I could possibly do a Jenka calculator in the app, but I probably won't. So Jenka is the hardness, basically scale that they use to measure wood, the hardness of wood.
And it's also an average, because I have had, for instance, hard maple, I've had several different densities within the same piece of material. And you'll hear the bit cut, and then all of a sudden it'll just, well, it's found a little bit more density there, and then it found a little less density over there. So, I mean, it happens.
Yeah, wood's a funny thing.
It is. It's nature, and nature always wins.
Yes. Yeah. All right. So Graham is saying, do you have any plans to demo the vortex and laser engraving cutting? So I did laser some time ago with the light beam, I guess, if I remember right, is what the CNC Labs calls it. So he's talking about the CNC Labs tools, and the vortex is a rotary. Now I've had the rotary for 6 months, and it's still sitting in the box over there. So
mine's right there.
Yeah. So I do have plans to do it, but I have a list of videos I'm going to be making. I need to update some of my videos, and there are more what we call evergreen high demand videos. So I'll focus on those, but I definitely want to get the rotary. So I do have plans on doing that, but not the laser. However, I think I need to call the boss out again. Yeah.
You in trouble now?
No, I'm in trouble.
That's what I mean.
No, don't bring me out. So Julianne now has access to Lightburn.
Sweet.
Yeah, so she's going to be learning it. So we got Liberty, who's been learning. Julianne is learning Lightburn. These girls are eventually going to be doing more content on the channel.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah. And stuff.
Yeah. So maybe once she's up to speed, she can become the one that deals with the lasers. I got the CO2 sitting over there, barely ever touched it, the Monport. But CNC Labs is building a CO2 laser. And
nice.
We are going to get that.
Nice.
Yeah. And then the Monport will go somewhere else. I don't know where it will go.
Okay.
It might stay the tabletop that it is right now. Who knows?
I thought you were still holding out for the Shaper Origin, but you've moved on to laser, huh?
Yeah. So
he has a running list.
I do.
There's a list.
Oh, okay.
And my list has to be prioritized.
I hear you. Same here. And,
Yep.
and mine is based on space. I mean, if I got to get a new pair of pliers, I really have to think about where I'm going to put them. So I'm in a 12 by 16 shed. So
All right.
Start hanging it on the wall.
There ain't many walls left.
Ceiling, perhaps?
I see a lot of space in the back wall, so you can build a catwalk over your machine. And
Well, what you don't see is the lumber I'm storing back there on the floor.
All right. Okay. Well, there you go. So I will be doing the vortex eventually. I really want to do that sooner because I want to make a Harry Potter wand for my daughter.
There you go.
Yeah. For Julianne too, of course. You see her in the background. Oh yeah. All right. Thor and Gsender, do you save multiple toolpaths separately or together as one job? So Gsender is not the toolpath saver. Gsender is your control software that runs the CNC router. Right. It's the software that's sending the code to the machine and where you can interface with it. So I know Mark has an answer on this one too. When you create your toolpath in your software, right, and if you're using Vectric, you can merge. What I like to do is if I'm using multiple toolpaths using a 90-degree V-bit, and I got other things like an 1/8 inch and a 1/4 inch, and they're kind of interspersed, I'm going to look at it and see if I can move the toolpaths above or below so that I can do the 1/4 inch, 1/8 inch, and then the 90 V-bit for all the rest of the stuff. And Mark, he does every toolpath separately, right? You tell it to punch out every G code.
I do every toolpath separate, but that's just for my sanity. Because again, if there's a way to mess something up, I will find it. I don't have an automatic tool changer. I don't want an automatic tool changer. I want to be 100% of control of when I want to carve something. And if I have a long G code file and I want to stop for the day, I want to say, do my V carving, get finished with that. Then I can go in the house and come out tomorrow and then pick up where I left off without loading this big old huge G code file. I mean, I finished my V carve. I'm done. That toolpath is finished. Now I can load my pocket for something else or a 3D carve somewhere else. Yeah. I want to be the one in charge of what's going to get run when. So I save separate files.
Yeah, Thor. My suggestion, my thought is, especially if you're asking this kind of question, is do what Mark says. Do what Mark's doing. If you're relatively new, separate them all out so you understand each toolpath. You know exactly what tool it's going to do, and you know exactly what part of your project it's going to do. And then later, as you get good, then you can do what I do, which is merge the toolpaths. So going back to the setup sheet, this is set up in a way so that you're running different multiple tools, right? So you're going to recycle through this list if you got multiple tools. So this is the setup checklist that we talked about an hour ago, right? And it covers that stuff too. So get the setup checklist. Julianne, link that in the comments again.
Drink.
Right. Drink, Greg, drink.
I think
someone else said they had a whole bottle ready.
I think Greg's on the floor. I don't know. I ain't seen him say anything in a while.
Trying to find the buttons.
Basically, right. Thor 21, it's 100% up to you. You can do it either way. It's your choice.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I've always, I do it because I have this efficiency mindset. Being an engineer, and I was a manufacturing engineer, so I was always not only solving problems, but making the whole manufacturing process a lot more efficient. So it's just kind of inbred into me. Anita, hello, Anita. Any tips or tricks to ensure when you change a bit that you do not mess up settings to complete the job and keep it right?
Probably the number one tip is once you have set your XY0 for that job, you don't touch it. That XY0 is not going to change until the job is done. When you change bits, you do have to set your Z0 again, but you don't touch that XY0. So you will have to set Z0 every time you change a bit, but don't touch that XY0. I see a lot of people getting in trouble with that.
Yeah. And if you don't have homing sequence on the machine and you need stop for the night in the middle of the project, then tell the machine to go to the XY0 and turn it off there. That's if you don't have a homing sequence. That way it'll be in that position when you turn it back on, and then you can zero things out right there before you start moving things. All the tiny little tricks we figure out along the way, Mark.
Yep. And we all have our way of doing things, and a lot of people will ask, well, am I doing this right? Am I doing that right? If you are getting the result you want safely without damage to you, your material, or your machine, and you like what you got, you did it right. I don't care what it is. You did it right.
Absolutely. I'm reading this little dialogue between Julianne and Greg here. They got this little.
I don't know that I want to know. I call that's plausible deniability. I don't know a thing.
We'll just keep it a total secret. We'll just leave it up to your imagination.
I don't know. I don't know nothing. I didn't see nothing. I thought I was blind before I saw you.
We communicate with Greg on the back end, and he's always teasing her. Well, give me your phone number so I can text you, and she won't do it. And so like they tease each other about that all the time. Okay, from Design 05, how to change the ball nose between a 3D work. It's too generic of a question.
Yeah. Again, well, I think.
Unless
it's going to be the same when that first bit when that's run.
I'll bet you. Go ahead.
When that toolpath is finished running and it's time for a tool change.
Yeah.
I think this is where it might be going here.
I think so. The zero.
And you go to switch over to the new bit, then you discover you have machined all of your material away. Where do you set your Z0? There's a few tricks to that, but it's kind of late after the fact.
Yeah.
What were you going to say?
I was actually going to start talking about that.
Oh, go for it. I have some tricks, and I'm sure you do.
I did a video a long time ago about how to recover from how to figure that out. Mm-hmm. But here's what I like to do. Right. So first you find your Z0 on your raw stock, right, with your first bit. And then you take that bit and move it over and bring it down to the spoil board and use that paper touch method until that bit touches the spoil board, right? And now you know your distance or your thickness of your material, right? You write that number down. So if it's a 0.763 from the top of the material to the spoil board, you write that number down. And now when you change your bit, you don't change your XY 0. But you move it over, bring your Z down with your new bit to the spoil board. You'll zero it out, and you'll use you'll use the console, and you'll type in a G0, G20, or G21, little G code stuff going on here, or you just move it up and you zero the Z out, and then you start nudging it up in the jog until it comes up to that thickness, that distance, 0.762, whatever I said, and then you re-zero it. Now you're there.
Yeah, I did a something similar, but like what you're talking about. I would find the level, say 760, as you said, 0.760. I would bring the bit down to the spoil board using the paper like you're talking about. And once I've got that right, I go over to my computer and I type in negative 0.760. So I'm telling the controller that the Z is now at negative 0.760. Then I can bring it up, and 0.760 above that is going to be zero. Yeah. Z0.
Here's another trick. Just use your spoil board as your
you can do that.
Yeah, instead of and when you're setting your job up, instead of material surface, use spoil board.
Another way is to, as Greg is saying right here, a scrap piece of the same wood, that same board, set off to the side. The only thing is, you got to mount that piece of scrap the same way you mounted your project. Because if you use double-sided tape, you have to take in that thickness of that double-sided tape into account. So you got to stick down that scrap piece with double-sided tape. Then the surfaces should be at the same height. Then you can set your Z0 off of that for the entire project.
Right.
So
there are a couple tricks. We just learned a couple.
Yeah.
So design. Let's see. Okay. So wooden Indian carvings. what is recommended tool for cutting foam core?
I've never cut foam core. Are you talking about the ACM where you've got like a plastic core between two sheets of metal?
That's yeah.
Or are you just talking foam core board that's paper and then styrofoam and then paper?
Yeah.
I mean, for that, a drag knife, but
Yeah. So if you're talking about ACM, that's two thin sheets of aluminum and there's
a
a
plastic core.
plastic core. Then you're going to go with an O flute bit.
Okay, I've never cut it.
Yeah.
I think you can cut foam core with a router bit, but I think you're going to find that it wants to shred that paper. Okay, he just said ACM.
Okay.
You're the man. I've never cut ACM.
Yeah. You want to use the Julian go link in the O flute bits. So yeah, just she'll link it in. Well, I'll show you. I'll bring it up. And by the way, you have to drink now. I asked Julian to do something.
Yep. And by the way, O flute, the O stands for open. It's got a huge old flute trough.
Yeah.
And it's there to evacuate those chips right stinking now, mister.
Yeah. So the flute of the bit is the actual channel in front of the cutting edge. So, okay, there's O flutes there. We're showing out of stock on the set.
Ruh-roh.
Uh-oh. Okay, so I got to share screen. Okay. So that's what an O flute bit. It has a single flute on it. It's got a very fast spiral, and it's a very deep flute. And that is meant to get the plastic, like Mark said, it's meant to get the plastic out of there ASAP.
Right.
Boy, that picture goes back. You can see right there how deep that flute is. So these are good. They're good for many of your plastics, acrylics, and most of them. You were going to say?
And do know that there are some differences. Some O flute bits are made for plastics.
Yeah.
Some are made for metals.
Yeah.
And that has to do, I believe it has to do with the helix, right?
Yeah. Well, it's a helix and the front cutting edge, the angle of the edge. So these will handle the thin aluminum like that you're going to find on the ACM. But if you're going for full-blown aluminum cutting, which a lot of people use these for, then these are not going to work.
Okay.
So good question. Someone says you don't like the Monport? They're asking me. I never really dove into it. I just never found, I guess, that the need to dive into it. So Monport, the other side of this question is, so Monport, like Omtech, I think it is, and there's another one out there. They are the same machines. They're exact same machines. They just have a different shell on the outside and a quite a different price tag between the two. Let's just say a couple of people that got the machine, they did not have a good experience with, just the way it was, the condition it came in. Not that they didn't work, but there was some damage on the housing. And to get rectified, it was more of a headache than it was worth for them. So the machine works, but here's my other, why am I going to go with the CNC Labs CO2 laser? Because it's going to be a laser built for people at our level, and it's built locally. It's designed and built locally, right? And so you have all the support there. Locally, they're in Canada, so I consider Canada like my little brother. All right. But yeah, and it's a known company in our segment. I know them. I know what they're doing. I know what they're working on. I know their drive, their ambition. So yeah, that's why I'm going to go with that.
I don't have a laser, but I will say, remember that you get what you pay for.
Yeah.
And that's the same with anything.
Yeah. So out in China, there's like 3 companies that build the CO2 lasers. And then there's a lot of like basically white label. And so they're branded with the different labels like Monport. So Monport themselves are not a manufacturer of the lasers. They are a pass-through company. They just put their name on it.
A lot of them are. And
Yeah.
you look at them, the only difference is the color.
Yeah.
Some of them are red, some of them are blue, but it's the same machine.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Flash print. Rookie here. First time going to cut ACM. Okay. Purchase a bit for ACM, but what speed and feed would you recommend for a rookie like me? So, I actually haven't cut a whole lot of ACM to give you a good setting on that. I've got the material here, so I guess we're gonna have to get that on there too. So what I would suggest is that you go with the feeds and speeds that are on the app, the IDC Woodcraft app, or the database that we put out, and start with that.
Yeah, I've never cut ACM, so I'm no help there.
Yeah, ACM, the aluminum is so thin, there's very little resistance on it. And final question is, Kurt. So for those of you who've asked other questions after this, Kurt, at 9:30, we've cut off questions because Mark and I do have to like do Mother Nature things and eat and hang with family. When you import a 3D file into VCarve Pro, can you separate the file of each part? Example, separate the text.
No, not in VCarve. And you're limited. Well, I won't say you're limited because you're not. It's not an easy procedure in Aspire either. That usually comes down to how the file was drawn and depends on what kind of file it is, be it an STL or some other type of file. But VCarve, no, you cannot edit 3D files at all. You might be able to go into something like Tinkercad or Blender or one of the other 3D modeling programs and load it into that program and do your edits there, then export it as a STL file, then import it after it's done. But generally speaking, no, you can't edit a 3D file in VCarve Pro.
All right. Okay. There you go.
Sorry.
Yeah. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Oh, let's see. That takes care of all the questions. It's time to bring the boss back out. And let's see. Oh yeah. Have a good Halloween, Albert said.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So Halloween was done tonight in Madison because the rain, the storms that are coming in. I don't know what. I just know it's supposed to rain. And so that's it. So Mark, thank you for coming on board.
Anytime.
Again.
Anytime. You know where I am. Just, hey, you want to come on? And if I've already eaten dinner, yeah.
Right. We do need to jump on a jet plane and come out there one day when you're doing it. And we'll do a flash live out there.
You know what? I have been. Some of my channel members are like, "Will you do some videos on the barbecue that you're doing? You're killing us here." And I'm like, "Well, maybe on my other channel, but don't hold your breath. I mean, I'm not a chef. I'm not a cook."
You should barbecue. You should carve out some of your barbecuing tools and then show them being used, right?
I am. You see that pile of material back there? I'm digging through my scrap. I made my wife a chaos patterned end grain cutting board, about 2 inches thick. And if I have that cutting board and a knife in my hand at the same time, no, it's a non-starter. She will not let me near that board with a knife. So I'm making my own.
Yeah.
And I told her, okay, I'm making my own cutting board. So I've got, what have I got? I got maple, I got white oak, I got red oak, I got mahogany, walnut, wenge, canary wood, you name it.
Right.
I got all kinds
Wow.
of, and it's an easy
Canary wood.
canary wood. Yeah.
Get it. Get it. Let me see it.
Oh, I'll have to go get it. In fact, one of the people in the chat sent it to me. Sargon sent it to me.
Okay.
Oh, I can't get to it. I can't get to it. There's too much stuff piled up.
Okay. I can always do Google image search.
Yep. It's not quite as yellow as Yellow Heart, but it's close.
Okay.
And in fact, he runs a laser business out of his garage. Sargon is one of the hardest working people I know, and very generous with his time and just generous in general. I got the package today, Sargon, you rat. Just packages show up. You know, there's a gift from Sargon. I'm like, you know, this headset was a gift from him. Anyway, he sent me some miscut plaques that were Wenge and canary wood.
Oh, interesting.
Beautiful things. And so I'm using that to make all kinds of stuff, basically.
Very cool.
So that's
For
about
those-
as close as I'm going to get to barbecue on my channel anyway.
Gotcha. So for those of you still hanging on, next week, Sister Kate is going to be back. So make sure you jump on board. And after that, we have Bill Keys. We're going to cover some the technicals of CNC business. And I'll talk about business mindset. I'd love to talk about the mindset because all business starts up here. We got Matt from
731 Woodworks.
731 Woodworks. He's going to be coming on.
Nice.
And who else we got?
Hold on. Let me get the handy dandy notebook of everything. We got Kyle coming back on.
Oh yeah, Kyle's going to come back on towards the end of November.
Yeah,
He's a good guy too.
Yeah,
He's a good guy too.
And then let's see. I've got Kate to get down again for another time, and I've got to get Ellen and Jace back on, and our avid fellow, and
Eric.
Yeah.
I got a list over there, so we just need to keep adding to it, folks. Who would you like to see on here? Who would you like us to invite? What I want to do is bring on either machine experts or epoxy experts, software experts, people that can teach you. So put it in the comments, and we'll be watching comments for a bit when we actually sign off here in about 30 seconds. But I'd love to know. Love to know. So with that, we are going to Ari Rip says me. Mike Scott.
let me track him down.
Yeah. Yeah, and we had Cody on last week. Cody from the Jenny.
Yeah.
He was hanging out here tonight too.
Great.
That was very really interesting. I love bringing people on because even I'm a tooling guy, but he's teaching me. He's teaching us stuff. Right?
Oh yeah.
Because he's in the dirt when it comes to making tools.
Yeah, he's down in the trenches.
Yeah.
Greg from STL Woodworks is going to be my guest on my Sunday live Q&A on November 10th.
Okay, you have a Q&A
every Sunday.
Okay.
Every Sunday, noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern.
Okay.
On my YouTube channel. I do it every Sunday, whether I need to or not. And it's just, what did I say? The 11th. Oh, I'm sitting here trying to click on his message, and I can't do that. I don't have the control room. Sunday, November 10th, because the 11th is Monday, Greg.
Okay, there you go.
Sunday the 10th.
Yeah.
And then Scott Godby from M&S Woodworks is going to be my guest on the 17th, the following Sunday. Okay. I traditionally put my edited videos on hiatus starting November 1st until after the new year, and I try to have guests on. But I keep doing the live streams on my regular schedule.
Right.
I like Kimberly's idea here. She said that you should inlay your pirate holding a chef knife on a board.
I don't know. I'm going to be doing some inlays. I've been wanting to do them for years, and I'm finally going to do one while I'm on hiatus. But I got a lot of work to do before I can presume to tell somebody how to do it. There's a lot of bad info out there, and I really don't want to add to it. So if I haven't done it, I'm not going to try to tell you how to do it.
Gotcha. Yeah, our friend Wandering Star met him down at the Vectric meetup, and nice guy, really nice guy. He's telling me to go on vacation for another show again.
Hey, they did a bang up job. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
they were right on it, and I thought that was a great show.
We'll have to do that more often then.
They did a fantastic.
Give you the night off.
Yeah, when I have a night off, I don't go on vacation. When they did that, I was not on vacation. I was at a week-long entrepreneurs event.
Yeah.
If I'm on vacation doing nothing, within the second day, I'm stir crazy. You can't put me on a beach for 2 days. I can do a day. Give me a good several beach drinks.
Hey, I was getting ready to say, you wouldn't go down to Cancun?
I would go to Cancun. I want to go down there for Joe Dispenza event.
There you go.
Joe Dispenza is about mindset stuff and things. So
okay.
But those are my vacations. That's what I do. I'm a continuous learner.
What you do on vacation is your business and nobody else's.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I had a ton of vacation already. I traveled. I quit work several times, my engineering job, for a year, and I just went in my Jeep and I drove around the United States, camped up in the mountains, lived in my car. I got it all out of my system.
I did too much of that in the Army. It's like, thanks, but no thanks.
All right. All right. Okay, folks, we are going to check out. Thank you again, Mark, for coming on board.
You're very welcome anytime.
All right. Thanks, Julianne, for keeping everybody straight in the background and making sure Greg keeps drinking.
I don't know about that.
I don't think she needed.
Well, see, here's how this works. If I don't ask, if I haven't asked you a question in 5 or 10 minutes, to ask you to do something, just pop me a text. Like, Garrett.
Oh boy.
All right. Okay, folks. We'll see you later.